4-0. 4-0. 4-0 against Crystal Palace. Hello, I am the Irish guy, and the future for Manchester United is bleak. Oh, this is the turning point now, is it? Ten Hag's gonna go and you're gonna start again. No, this just feels like when Solskjaer was binned and nothing improved long term. Short term, sure. I guess finishing third and winning the League Cup is now seen as success at Man United, but meh. Man United are bringing in Dan Ashworth as sporting director. Someone who works miracles in every role he takes, right? Does he? The guy who sanctioned a £60 million deal for Sandro Tonali weeks before a 10-month ban? I mean, Gary Neville has just admitted on the overlap that when Ashworth was director of the FA in 2016, he rang up Neville when he was appointed Valencia boss and basically told him,
"Oh, well done, lads. We were wanting you to get a club job somewhere to put you in good stead to replace Roy Hodgson as England boss when he leaves."
Sorry. That was Ashworth's master plan. Making Gary Neville the next England manager, the bloke off the telly, the guy who spends every day buried up to his eyeballs in emails from his hotel manager, probably whining about guests getting sick in the loo. Somebody who is so selfishly busy, he probably can't remember what his wife looks like. He only ever sees her in the dark. Lads, if Ashworth had had his way, then for the 2018 World Cup, both of the England men's team and the women's team would have been managed by the Neville brothers. Good grief. I mean, at Christmas dinner around the Neville household, they'd be sharing ideas about how best to get the best out of Harry Kane and what to do if your new left back gets pregnant a month before the tournament starts. That's the women's team, by the way. I'm not talking about Jesse Lingard, although wouldn't put it past him. That is Dan Ashworth. Newcastle are apparently looking to replace him with Crystal Palace's sporting director, Dougie Freedman. I mean, after experiencing that colossal embarrassment at Sellers Park, I bet Manchester United fans right now are thinking they've got the wrong man. Because under Dougie's watch, Palace have signed Eze and Olise in the lower leagues for less than the price of a Malteser ice cream. Apparently, Olise is top of Manchester United's shopping list. After seeing that club royally ruin Jadon Sancho for a couple of years, then Olise should stay away, and I think he will. This is a 22-year-old playmaker who is not afraid of making ruthless decisions for the sake of his career. I mean, he's already turned his back on England, despite him being English. He's instead signed up to be part of France's golden generation. To be fair, he has no senior caps yet, and Southgate will probably be on the phone to his agent every day, or at least he should be, offering him sweets on the phone. Don't let this be another Zaha, where you let him squirm off to another nation for free. Honestly, Olise was born and raised in England. He's been through Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, and Reading. He is a Londoner. Seeing him playing for France would look strange. But lads, after rejecting return to Stamford Bridge last summer, choosing not to join a crazy club, I don't see him making a Zaha move either. But lads, April 21st, 2019. That felt like a huge moment. Manchester United just trudged off the Goodison Park turf, having lost by an embarrassing 4-0. This sort of scoreline wasn't supposed to happen to Manchester United. They didn't lose 4-0 often, and when they did, it was a national disaster. Like 3 years before, when they lost 4-0 to Chelsea, and with Conte jumping around like Kermit the Frog after too much sugar, Mourinho looked like he would love nothing more than to rip off the Italian's nose and stir it in his tea. He was so enraged by that game that he went and called Conte a match fixer in the media. 2 years before that, Louis van Gaal had seen his reserve team lose 4-0 to MK Dons in a game which practically birthed Dele Alli. To be fair, that was Manchester United on paper, but was it? Because let's test your football memories. Look at the club's defense that day. Who are these people? Tell me now, a centre-back pairing of James and Oliveira. For all I know, they were just a couple of grannies who Van Gaal pulled out of McDonald's an hour before the match. By the way, to settle your confusion, that James in defence was Reece James. What do you mean you're more confused now? Imagine how Wigan fans felt. They released Reece James in June 2018 and then loaned in Reece James from Chelsea the next week. That would have probably caused confused pensioners to have a nosebleed in reading the matchday programme. But back to Manchester United. Who on earth was Janko in midfield? Wasn't he the guy who stormed off impulsive? But lads, these results look big. Solskjaer. Yes, he's a bird-brained tactician who's now barely able to motivate his own dog to wee outside. Honestly, he wouldn't even be able to persuade a homeless bloke to eat a cheese scone from Greg's. But he was at least a Manchester United man, and he knew that a 4-0 defeat was not acceptable. He promised in his post-match interview that half the 11 wouldn't be there next year. Yeah. The only members of that starting 11 that he actually dumped that summer were Chris Smalling and Romelu Lukaku. Two guys who probably now have a Wednesday marathon movie night in Roma, with the Belgian shoveling a bin bag worth of toffee popcorn in his gob before they even finished the first Shrek film. But lads, from those who participated in that embarrassing 4-0 defeat 5 years ago, Lindelof, Dalot, Rashford, McTominay, and even Martial are still at the club now. I thought Martial would have been the first to go. And since then, since keeping these absolute sludge puppets, these rotten results have become the norm inside the last 5 years. Man United have lost 4-0 to Liverpool, 5-0 to Liverpool, 7-0 to Liverpool, 6-1 to Tottenham, 6-3 to Man City, 4-0 to Brighton, 4-0 to Brentford, 4-1 to Watford, and now 4-0 to Crystal Palace. And make no mistake, it was nearly a 4-0 loss to Bournemouth earlier in the season too. And that was at home. This is a complete and utter joke. Lads, Crystal Palace are in good form. Oliver Glasner is supposed to be a stuffy, regimented defensive coach. They're not supposed to be winning 4 out of 5 games, scoring 13 goals in the process. Jean-Philippe Mateta is not supposed to look like Pete Benzema. Glasner is supposed to be some boring, miserable coach whose idea of a fun afternoon is studying rocks that he stole from the beach. He looks like somebody who thinks modern music is too loud and who instead prefers to play the banjo whilst watching pensioners baking cookies on the telly. And yet, they've been an absolute madness. Manchester's United once again be blown away by a progressive attacking team with new ideas. This reminds me of when they were eating like spaghetti at Brighton 2 years ago, where Ralph Rangnick, someone who's apparently offered the Bayern Munich job last week, he had no answers to Graham Potter. Although, was that due to the genius of this skeleton-looking coach? Somebody who was about as exciting as vegan cornflakes? No. Football heritage. Compare both 11s that day. See where they play. How they play, if they play. Because Brighton had 6 players in that starting 11 who now represent Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal and Liverpool. But Manchester United, the players in that 11 who have since left the club, Al Nassr, Lyon, Nottingham Forest, and 2 are unemployed, with Mata having failed in Turkey and Japan, whilst De Gea is probably this close to sending out a pamphlet to every club in Europe, reminding them that he's still alive. I mean, don't laugh, Michael Owen did that once, where his own brochure described him as charismatic, stylish, cool, and good looking. Yeah, I don't think a Premier League manager is going to sign you because his wife thinks you're cute. But again, in that 4-0 loss to Brighton, even the substitutes, Cavani and Fred now play for Boca Juniors and Fenerbahce. That was a stale Manchester United team, as is this one. It's the same story. The Palace players that were out on that pitch last night, I predict big clubs in their future too. If we look back at this game in 2 years' time, Olise and Eze will probably be at Chelsea and Arsenal. Even midfielder Adam Wharton will probably be at Spurs. Centre-back Mark Gehey could be back at Stamford Bridge. Big burly centre-forward Jean-Philippe Mateta might get a surprise switch to Inter Milan. But that wrinkly old Manchester United team, what's in their future? If I were to guess, Inter Miami, Galatasaray, Al Hilal, and Everton. Oh yeah, and Johnny Evans will surely be playing for his local over 40 side down Power League. I mean, come on, for the final 10 minutes of that match last night, he was sharing a pitch with a teammate who was born just a year before Evans made his Manchester United debut. Wow, Ethan Wheatley is young. He was 2 when The Dark Knight was in cinemas. He was still learning the alphabet when Gerrard was on the telly. What? This is a disgrace. A complete and utter joke. The worst part about this heavy defeat at Sellers Park is that it's not even surprising anymore. Manchester United get battered every season. And what's the consequences anymore? There used to be some. That 4-0 disaster at MK Dons in the League Cup 10 years ago, there were ramifications for that. Most of those players never pulled on a Manchester United shirt again. Van Gaal immediately threw most of them out the door the next week. But these days, there's no punishment. Do you think Ten Hag screamed at those players until his lungs turned blue? No, I know what will have happened after that final whistle. There was no dressing room inquest. It'll have just been a bunch of slumped in their seats modern pros in a deadly silent changing room, just seeing how many likes they got on the Instagram posts when they were in the club last week. On the bus ride home from London, anyone reckon any Manchester United player was still ruminating on this match? No. Anthony probably had his headphones in, watching SpongeBob SquarePants on his phone, or maybe Prison Break. Just to see what it's like. They don't care. They don't. They have lost enough games now in shocking fashion to know that they don't care about this club. Well, most of them. I don't want to throw them all in the same basket. Someone like Christian Eriksen is a consummate professional, and I don't want to suddenly call him some petulant vampire with no will to win. He's probably as confused as anyone else as to the sort of dressing room he's in now. This wasn't the fairy tale it was supposed to be for him. But that's life. I mean, Jon Snow also had a damp squib ending after coming back from the dead. I mean, lads, Eriksen was in a title-winning dressing room with Inter Milan not too long ago, where Antonio Conte's intensity and passion makes Ten Hag look like a banana-flavored wimp who hasn't even raised his voice since 2003. Don't get me wrong, Casemiro used to be all that, but now this is actually embarrassing. I said it at the time, giving him a 4-year contract with the option of a 5th year on wages of £350,000 a week. Have they learned nothing? He was 29 years old. We have seen Bastian Schweinsteiger complaining because while at Old Trafford, this legendary world champion was suddenly so past it that in his early 30s he was forced to train with the kids. that was Mourinho saving him this sort of embarrassment. I mean, it's fine. Okay, Man United were able to get rid of him to Chicago Fire after just 2 years because it wasn't a massive contract. Well, can you imagine if when he signed for Bayern Munich, Manchester United locked him into a 4-year deal, making him the best paid player at the club? He wouldn't have left. He would have gladly picked up a £200,000 a week to train with teenagers who've never heard of Indiana Jones. He would have been locked into a monster contract until 2019 with the possibility of a 5th year, which would have taken him into 2020. Schweinsteiger and Manchester United in 2020. That's like trying to imagine Pierce Brosnan in the next James Bond film. I mean, forget Slovenian villains hell-bent on world domination. His biggest threat would be that prostate exam. You have made a monstrous, desperate, expensive mistake with Casemiro, giving him so much money to play for this club when right now he's MLS standard. This is not how you act as a big club. Look, I don't want to say this, but Brazilian footballers don't often age well. They age about as well as the cast of Friends. How many world-class Brazilians are still Champions League quality whilst they're in their 30s? Okay, look, Thiago Silva is one. Although I'm half confused, he's at least 50% robust. Well, lads, think of the other legends. Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, Kaká, Ronaldo, Neymar, Robinho, Adriano, Luis Fabiano, Oscar, and Philip Coutinho. I mean, once they all blew out the candles on their 30th birthday cake, they all fell off a cliff when they were Casemiro's age. 32, by the way. I know he's currently playing like a 54-year-old with bladder issues, but yeah, he's only 32. When they were at his age, look where they play, how they play, if they play. Ready? Atletico Mineiro, Olympiacos, Orlando City, Corinthians, Al Hilal, Guangzhou Evergrande, Atletico Paranaense, Sao Paulo, Shanghai Port, and Al Duhail. Oh, but these were flamboyant attacking players. It's fine. Casemiro is a robust defensive midfielder. They are built different. These players don't have the ego of a Tom Brady. They're not going to poison their bodies with 9 hamburgers a week. Okay, fine. Let's compare Casemiro to a Brazilian in his position. An invincible, an Arsenal legend, Gilberto Silva. Still, when he was 32, playing for Panathinaikos, Casemiro should also be in Greece or Turkey or Japan, not for Manchester United. Seeing him being shrugged off the ball by absolute wet sandwiches like Hudson Edward, it's embarrassing. It's like watching one of those One Direction twerps get bullied in soccer raids. Manchester United have now lost 13 games in the Premier League this season. 13. Let's put that into shockingly horrible perspective. If they lose one more game, just one more, they would have lost as many games as Aston Villa did under Alex McLeish 11 years ago when they finished 16th. It'll be as many as Sunderland lost when they were nearly relegated in 2015. Burnley lost less games than this in one season under Sean Dyche. Burnley! This is pathetic. How can this be allowed to continue? Too much damage has been done. Ten Hag needs to go. He ain't turning around these players. But there needs to be a complete refresh, a proper overhaul this time. The next Manchester United boss should do what Solskjaer did not have the stomach or enough power to go through with 5 years ago. They need to absolutely rip up the carpet and do an Arsenal. When Arteta took over from Emery in 2019, it looked unthinkable that a little Spanish worm from Pep's lap would single-handedly end the Arsenal careers of popular fan favourites like Bernd Leno, Kieran Tierney, Lucas Torreira, Mesut Ozil, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, even young gun Joe Willock. But that is what he had the stomach to do, and do quickly. I mean, not every exit was a masterstroke. Dumping Emiliano Martinez really was not clever. That's like cleaning your house and accidentally throwing a valuable Pokemon card in the bin. The new Manchester United manager needs to dump some of these alleged stars and do it quickly. And I don't mean the easy decisions, like waving goodbye to an Anthony Martial pancake. That's not a difficult decision. I mean, turfing on a Marcus Rashford or a Mason Mount. Decisions that make you sit up and go, whoa, this guy means business. Honestly, lads, the Man United future, it looks bleak. Anyway, that's the interview. Let me know in the comments what do you think. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.